Hello, everybody. So glad you could join us. So I am here with another lovely indie author. Do you want to introduce yourself and say a little something about yourself?
Um, I'm D.A. Power. Um, I'm the author of Squeak, the book that Joara is going to talk about today.
So I have so this is one of the few author interviews where I've already read her book. Um, and I enjoyed it. It was really good. I rated it 5 stars, so I definitely highly recommend checking it out. And before we get started, I want to mention that I do have the link in the description, so you guys can just go click on it really easily and find our book if you like what we're talking about today. So you ready to get into the questions? Awesome. Okay. Question number one. What's your WIP about? If it's a sequel, you can talk about the overall story, including previous books.
Okay, so my work in progress is the sequel to the Asher Chronicles, and it's called Cowboys and Queens. It's set 3 years after the events of Squeak. So our kids, Celeste and her friends, are going into the 8th grade, and there is, as mentioned in the first book briefly, the ghost that haunts Tex's grandparents' outfitter store goes from friendly to not so friendly. And so the kids have to figure out why through but that's the main plot of the book. But there's other little side stories like Celeste, her long lost father makes an very unwelcome, unexpected appearance. And as you can imagine, that will cause some drama for an upheaval in her life. Sean, his mother gets remarried and is getting ready to move him away not too far. It turns out he's moving to Celeste's former town, which only amounts to a 25-minute car ride, but that means no going to school with his friends anymore, not seeing his friends every day, every more, not calling when he wants to anymore because it's long distance. But the worst part of this is he has a freak accident that causes much trauma and uncertainty in his life.
Oh wow!
And mhm,
It
yeah,
seems it seems like there might be a bit of a more. The first book was so lighthearted for most of it. It feels like this one might be a bit heavier at times.
yes, very much so. Yeah, there's still some lighthearted, humorous moments, though. For
Yeah,
sure, there's a lot of humorous moments, but
I,
you're right.
I've read a few from your snippets, so yeah.
Yeah,
Question two: what is your MC like?
my main character. Well, at this point, they're kind of all main characters now. From here on out, it's an ensemble cast, but I guess I'll pick one. Um, I guess I'll pick Celeste. Um, Celeste is still kind of shy, and she's still kind of awkward, but over the 3 years since she's been with her friend group, she's also gotten a little more confident, a lot more comfortable and easygoing with them. But she's a little bit more to learn about how to accept herself.
Yeah, that's a long journey. It doesn't just happen overnight.
No, it doesn't.
And I'm glad you showcased that because there are some books where they'll like as soon as they find that support they'll immediately change. It's like no, it doesn't work like that.
And I think I don't think that I set out to do this, but with a lot of the characters, with her, with Sean, and even a little bit with Tex, I show that they all struggle a little bit with their own self esteem, their own, especially Sean after his accident. And I show this side that boys have this problem too, not just girls,
Yeah,
at that age. So
which is something I like because it does so focus on girls and not even just at that age. I feel like there's so much media and stuff where it shows a character's insecurities as an adult, teenager, whatever. It'll show him with girls. We hardly ever get to see the insecurities with guys, but guys have insecurities too. So I really like
mhm.
that you include that. Question three: what are your other important characters like?
Well, in this book, you'll get to know Gary a lot better. He's going to be one of the narrators, so we get inside his head a little bit, and we learn a little bit more about what he's like, what his family is like, what he likes to do when he's. Remember, he's the big introvert of the group, so
Yeah.
you get to kind of see what he likes to do in his spare time. But we also see another side to him too, a little bit in this book that I think readers will be happy to see. Um, we also hate to spoil anything, but I'll just say Nicole is not gone for good exactly. You know,
Yeah.
well, spoilers, but she's still very much a part of the gang. I'll just say that, and she still has a part in this book. So,
That's good.
and that will be kind of neat, I think, for readers to see. Um, then we meet a few new characters.
Nice.
Most notably, a girl named Reggie, and yeah, I think I think people are going to really like her.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can't wait to meet her. Question 4. If your MC has a love interest, what is their dynamic like?
I like to say they're all love interests. But they like someone, and well, somebody likes them too. I will just say Celeste and her love interest, um, their dynamic is what I would call very, very playful. They like to make each other laugh and smile, and I think I showed this a little bit in book 1, but I show it a little bit more. And I never realized it until about halfway through, but I think their dynamic is also one of they like to hug, they like to touch. It's very comforting for them. So I would say those things are their dynamics. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the group moments where they're teasing the two of them.
Oh
And I
yeah.
love how they tease the boy too, because that's another thing where I feel like it's usually the girls teasing a girl, but I really like that. It's like how close they all are. They tease the boy too about his feelings for her, and
There's
it's really
so
cute.
much more, and there's so much more teasing in this book. Oh yeah.
Can't wait. We have a comment. Reggie sounds cool.
Yes. So about Reggie, her real name is Regina. Full name Regina Alice Pruitt, and I'll give you a little bit, but not too much. It turns out she was moved up 2 grades. She's supposed to be in 6th grade, not 8th, but they moved her up because she was so smart. She got bored with the work at a young age. Yes. And so she turns up in their 8th grade class, and they're all kind of I just got to tell you, you're going to love how Gary reacts to her. And her first scene, my beta readers absolutely said this, oh my God, I just love her. I love her already. But there's some mystery about her. There's definitely something very mysterious about her.
Cool. I can't wait to meet her. Question 5. Who, despite the love interest, is closest to your MC? What is their dynamic like?
I would say Celeste. Her best friends are Sean and Kathy, but I would say her mother. Her mother and her have a very special relationship, and I try to show this where I can, and especially in book 2, I believe that I did this too.
Nice. I can't wait for that because I feel like we didn't get that much of her mom in book 1. It was mostly her relationship with her new stepdad that we saw. So I can't wait to see more of her relationship
We'll
with
get a lot more of that, yeah, with her and mom. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Question 6. What's your world like? Is it similar to our world? Is it different? How so?
It's pretty much our world the way it was in the 1980s. The only big difference is that little twist of magic behind the scenes that causes pretty much every strange, bizarre thing that happens. The reason the kids understand animals, for one thing. But every plot line that will happen in these books is a result of this mysterious magic. That's really it. Otherwise, it's our world.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Question 7. If you write fantasy, what's your magic system?
Yeah. So the magic, it's hard to talk about without giving too much away. It's like a huge secret. But I will tell you, you can't go to school to learn it, like Hogwarts. You're not born with it. It's not inborn. Um, it's something that happens to you or to something. And the problem is in my books, hardly anyone knows about it because it's kept very secret. Because like all magic, if everybody knew about it and what it's capable of, disaster, chaos, if it fell in the wrong hands. And of course, as you can imagine, that is something I'll eventually show, the really bad things that it can do. Not in so much in this book, but yeah, eventually you'll learn what the chaos and terrible things can be.
Nice.
So right now, it's a secret from the most of the world. They have no idea it exists at this point.
I know in book 1 there wasn't really much magic except for the fact that Celeste could talk to Briz.
There's clues. There's a clue.
There is?
Oh yeah.
I love a good foreshadowing moment.
There's a clue. I just can't say where or what it is, but I promise it's there. Yeah, and in fact, once everyone realizes, once I do the reveal, everybody's going to grab Squeak and go, "Oh my God! Yep, there it is, right there."
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Question 8. Do you like to write major plot twists?
Sometimes, yeah. It's not important to me, but yes. And there's not really a twist at the end of book 2. I think there's a moment in the epilogue where I think the reader might go, "What? But if they were paying attention, they might kind of not be surprised either. But that being said, I do have a couple plot twists eventually later on down the line.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like a good plot twist, especially the ones where that there is some foreshadowing sprinkled into it, and then when you can go back and be like, it was there all along, but you just didn't see it. Like I said, I love a good foreshadowing moment.
So many of those things too that you'll go back and say, "Oh, yep, there they are." Yeah.
Question 9. What tropes are in your WIP?
Well, I'd say friends to lovers, even though that's kind of a spoiler thing, but whatever a ghost mystery would be, paranormal, kind of a paranormal mystery, because they have to solve why Elmer is suddenly wanting to kill Tex and everyone else. So there might be a tiny, I don't know if I'd call it a love triangle, baby. I'll let the reader decide if that's really a love triangle or not. But so possibly that.
I feel like love triangles are tricky. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of them, but I know
usually either, and I didn't. But I don't know that I'd qualify this as one. But
yeah,
some people might.
Yeah, that's the hard part because there are some things that are classified as love triangles, but I don't consider them. Like I only read the series once because I'm not that big into dystopian, but The Hunger Games, it's classified as a love triangle. But if you think about it, Katniss was never really that into Gale.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which that's not really a love triangle. A love triangle is when the middle person likes them both and it's hard to choose.
Yes.
That's what a love triangle is. And I feel like The Hunger Games just doesn't really classify because Katniss didn't really like Gale in that way.
I'd have to agree with you. Yeah.
Have feelings.
I'd have to agree with you there.
So I feel like there are some times where it's classified as a love triangle when you think, is it really? Like, I'm going to use an example from a series that I despise. It's my least favorite series ever, but it's also very much classified a love triangle and is very popular, which is Twilight. I despise this series, but that's also not a love triangle because Bella never liked Jacob in that way. So
no,
why is this a love triangle?
I think you're right there. Yeah. So I would say, I mean, it's really going to be like I said, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's something that may resemble a love triangle.
Yeah.
But so
yeah, like the Hunger Games and Twilight, they resemble love triangles because there are two guys that like this one girl, but at the same time, I don't think of it as a real love triangle if the girl doesn't at least have some feelings for both guys, whether or not it's extremely hard for her to choose or she knows which one she likes, but she does have feelings for the other one as well. That's what I consider a love triangle.
yes, me too.
Question 10. What themes are in your WIP?
Friendship, definitely. Trust is a big thing. So many of the kids have their different trust issues, either with each other or, like in the case of Celeste, whether to trust her father. Should I trust this guy or not? I mean, he left my family when I was 2 years old. Why should I trust him? Why should I believe anything he says? You know, and there's a little bit of discord among the kids where, they have to decide, do I trust these people or not? Will I let them help me or not? Of course, there's also themes of love. There's themes of, without giving too much away, grief, lost love. That's pretty much all I'm saying there. So
nice. I feel like I'm going to relate to Celeste a lot in this book because I, for one, had a stepdad who it was my dad. Like, he's my dad. He's not my stepdad. He has raised me since I was 4, I think, 4 or 5. I think I met him when I was 4, but him and my mom got married when I was 5. And I know I met my real dad left when I was like 1, and I know I met him once at Thanksgiving, and it was very, very uncomfortable because when I was leaving, he came up to me and he tried to give me a hug, and it was very, very uncomfortable because he's like, I don't know this man. This man has been a part of my life.
I could understand that. And I had a really great stepdad, too, that raised me.
So you get it, too.
I do.
Yes. For me, my dad is the one that raised me. As simple as that. So I feel like I'm going to relate to Celeste a lot in this book since we're going to touch a bit on that. Because I did like her bonding with her stepdad in book 1.
Yes, and you'll see a little more of that too in this book, especially with her father showing up. You get to see the difference and how close she's gotten with him, how much she trusts him now. She freely calls him dad. The ending, we see that she's transitioned into that of Squeak, and now she has no problems calling him dad. As far as she's concerned, that's her dad. And it's kind of a neat thing to see.
Yeah, definitely. Question 11. What was your inspiration for your WIP?
It's kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it short. So I don't live very far from the setting of the books, which is Baxter Springs, Kansas. About a year ago, my husband and I were driving through there. We stopped in this very cute antique shop. And we went inside and we got to talking with the owners. The owners, it turns out, they told us the building used to be a Western Outfitters store. And before that was a funeral home, which gave me the idea for Texas Grandparents Outfitter store. But then the next part was, now, when I tell you this next part, just whatever you think about ghosts in real life, just take it for what it is. And that's what we did. The owners told us that they have a ghost in their building named Elmer, which, if you recall, that's the name of the ghost that Tex mentions in book 1. And they told us a very interesting story about this ghost. Like the ghost, if the way the woman told it, if I don't greet him, if I don't say hello to him when I come into the store, and if I don't say goodbye to him, he will prank me. Was her words. He'll do something. He's a prankster ghost. Which is, I kind of had Tex mention that a little bit. And so I took some of the things she said and then I made up some things. But then I got to thinking, my husband and I both started thinking, so who is this ghost? Who's Elmer? You know, why is he haunting this place? Well, we found out it used to be a funeral home. So the wheels started turning who this Elmer was, why he's still hanging around this building, after all these years. So I gave him a backstory. And like I said, I used a little of what they told me and made up the rest. The obvious question, I asked this when I went down there again a few weeks ago to show them my book, which they were really excited about it. I showed them the passage that mentioned all of that, and they were really happy about it. But I asked them, I didn't think to ask you this, how do you know his name is Elmer? And they said, we brought in a medium. And the medium told us that's what his name was, but she couldn't make him go away. So I included that in my work in progress as well, that little line as to how they found out the name and why he's still there. Nobody could make him go away. Now, there's a reason he's not going away, but I don't disclose that for a very long time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I do believe in ghosts.
I know there are people listening and go, oh my goodness, seriously. But whatever you think about that, it was great inspiration. And it made for great story fodder for me.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool that the books are based on a real place.
Oh yeah. I lived in that town for 3 years when I was a kid. So yeah, a lot of the places that I mentioned in the books were real places. So now some of them aren't there anymore. Like I said, that antique store is no longer an Outfitter store. Simple Simons, the place that I mentioned that in book 1 that's owned by Casey's mom, it's no longer there either. The skate rink, where Celeste goes to the skating party, it's not there either anymore. So many places that I wrote about are not there anymore. So I guess you could say I preserved them a little bit in the pages, and they were very favorite places of mine,
Yeah.
when I lived there.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I mentioned a few more little things like that in book 2 that are about the town. So I throw in little things like that.
Fun. I love little facts like that.
Mm-hmm.
Question 12. Are you a plotter, pantser, or somewhere in between? If your WIP is a part of a series, how much do you have mapped out for it?
I still barely understand what any of those mean. So I'll just explain it like this. I have a general idea what I want to happen in each book. I know the general plot line. I know who the main players are. And I have general outlines once I get to them, but nothing's set in stone either. And there's a lot that gets improvised in the middle. I know how I want it to start. I know how I want it to end. I know the key points, but everything else I kind of fly by the seat of my pants.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like me. So a plotter is most plotters tend to outline every single thing they plan. And then pantsers outlines nothing. They literally start a story without having any idea of what is going on.
And see, I do. I know even to the last book what I know needs to happen.
Yeah. See, that's why I always say I'm in between of a plotter and pantser, because I do plot some things, but I don't plot everything. So it sounds like you're like me, where you're in between. You're not really a plotter. You're not really a pantser. You're kind of a little bit of both.
I'd say that's right.
Because that's what I do. I tend to have the main things, the main characters, the main storylines, the main details for my story throughout the entire story. Written down on my phone or something, but there are still a lot of many things I don't have planned or detailed or anything, and they come to me in the moment. Question 13. Who's your favorite character to write in your WAP? If it's your MC, then who is the second?
Of course, I always love writing Celeste, but I would say it was probably, oh gosh, I love them all in this. But I think that Sean and Gary's character development is great. in this book. Like I said, in the first book, we see that we think Sean is very confident. He has it all together. He can do anything, right? Well, like I said, we see a little more of a vulnerable side to him here. And after his accident, and after the upheaval in his life, we find that he struggles with his own self-esteem, as well as he develops some anxiety due to the accident, which doesn't last longer than the WIP. And so this is something that kind of threatens his sense of stability. And this is not to mention, and I don't think this is a secret, struggling with his hidden feelings for a certain other girl in the book. We get to hear a little bit about how he feels, his side of things from book one, just a little bit. And see, now everything's different. And so how is he going to deal with this now? Why would she go for someone like him? Even though he has no idea, he has no idea that she's batty over him. But he's clueless and oblivious. And I think that's fun to see. I love seeing how oblivious people can be, especially young people. And so I show this, I think, very well in this book.
It's gonna be interesting because book one, it was only in Celeste's point of view, and so you guys see her feelings when it came to all of her friends, to her crush, to her family. But it'll be interesting to see other people's point of view, especially Sean's, with his feelings for Celeste and other characters, I'm sure, because you said there's going to be multiple POVs. So it's going to be very interesting to see these characters we knew in book one actually have their own point of view chapters and actually get to see their sides of things. It's going to be very interesting, especially since there's so many of these characters I love. Celeste's entire friend group, like all five of them, like everyone on the cover of book one, I absolutely love. And I don't even know who I would pick to be my favorite, to be honest. Like all of them, I just love so much for different reasons, and I'm gonna love seeing some of their point of views.
Someone told me it was like trying to choose between 5 adorable puppies. When I asked who their favorite character, she said, honestly, it's like that. I mean, 5 adorable puppies. Who do you pick?
Yes, definitely. Because they're all so great for different reasons, and it's just hard to pick.
But yeah, you get to see how Sean really thinks about her and how he really feels. But not just him. You kind of see how Tex and Gary think about her. Nice. They don't have feelings for her like that, but it's nice to see how they really do think of her as their friend. They really value her friendship. They value her as a person. And we see kind of a little bit how they think, how much they value that in her. And you'll see a little bit what they think about her too, and it's neat to see, I think.
Nice. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see Gary's point of view because he was much more of a side character, a lot more than even the others, because we didn't really get to see that much of him in book one. So
well, he definitely got an upgrade. He's upgraded to series regular from here on out. So
nice.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking he seemed nice, but we never got that much into him to get a full, feelings or description on him. So it's going to be interesting to fully get into his character and his head and stuff.
I think you'll like his arc in this one. Yeah, I really do.
Can't wait. We have another comment on looking forward to these new perspective point of view in book two.
I think you'll have fun, Ellie.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see some of these new point of views. Let's see. What's the dynamic like between your MC and villain? If it's not fantasy, then the mean mean characters towards your MC. Because I did wonder if the bullies was going to be in book two.
They do make an appearance. And it's rather a humorous appearance. But I will just say nobody gets hurt this time. I think I pretty much showed that their battle was pretty much over. However, they did take one last dig in this book, but just trust me, it's not bad. Not really. And it was just it was kind of a way of showing that they had come to an unspoken truce since that time. As Celeste tells it, we keep to our side of the hallways at school, and that's kind of how it is from now. That's how it's been.
I remember first reading that those chapters. I was like so happy. Like I was like, they're getting what they deserve. And some of those scenes were so funny. How they were just completely kicking their butts, and I was like, yes, you go.
The funny thing is I had that happening in my mind long before I wrote it. I kept seeing Nicole skating like a mad woman down this hilly road, and her braids out behind her. And I thought, who's she chasing? I kept seeing this. And then I realized she was chasing after the Beastly Trio. And I thought I could see her bowling them over like a roller derby skater. And I kept seeing Tex running after someone whirling a lasso, and then it just kind of happened like a movie in my mind. And so that's how I wrote it, as it came to me in those scenes.
Yeah. Yeah. I found it hilarious that everyone kind of got scared of Kathy, except for the friend group, because I just feel like she's seemingly the sweetest and most innocent. Even more so than Celeste sometimes. Like, she can just seem so sweet and innocent, and it's like you wouldn't suspect her to be this big thing that everyone thought she was, just because she became this like snake whisperer, and it was just such a
Girl Scouts is a great thing. Girl Scouts is a really useful thing, as it turns out. And by the way, she still has the snake.
Oh,
you will see the snake in this book.
Nice.
You will see the snake, and I think you'll love the snake scenes. That's all I'll say.
Nice. Question: are there any other bullies, or are these is that it when it comes to bullies?
There's some new bullies. When Sean goes to his new school. I can't say why they bully him, but they'll learn. That's all I can say. They'll learn.
Can't wait for that. Question 14. No, that's the one I just did. Okay, question 15. Without being too spoilery, what was your favorite scene to write in your WIP so far?
Oh yeah, that probably my favorite. I can't say, but I will say this: I really enjoyed writing the scenes in New York City. Sean and Celeste get to go to New York for spring break.
Nice.
And they get, I guess it's fine to say this, but they get a chance to see the Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. And get this, the year it opened, 1988. Nice. So that's kind of a neat moment for them, and I show through their eyes what it was like to see that musical for the first time. And I think it's a very sweet moment. It's romantic, and I can hear the music in my mind every time I read it. Of course, I base that on when I never saw it on Broadway, but I saw the musical on tour in Oklahoma City about 20 years ago, maybe, and it was wonderful. Absolutely. So I took my feelings from that, and I kind of wrote that through Sean and Celeste's eyes, and that was so. I love reading those scenes. So
I like some of the references in book one. The one that I knew of because I was not alive in the 80s. I was barely alive in the 90s. I was literally born in the last month of the 90s.
Oh, wow.
December 1999. So yeah. But I know my mom and I are currently watching a show that was made in the 80s. I've seen it before, but I haven't seen it in a long time. So I know of some things from the 80s. I remember there one reference. This one stuck to me because I really liked the movie. Was the reference you made to Gremlins? Because I do like the Gremlins. So I remember seeing that, and I remember laughing because I was like, "Yes, Gremlins." And there was another one. What was it?
Predator.
No, I've never seen it, but I know of it because my mom used to watch it. And
Never Ending Story?
Huh? Yeah, Never Ending Story. Yeah. Because that's how my sister got her name, Fantasia.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so neat.
So I've never actually seen it, and I know my sister tried to watch it because her name comes from it, but she said she fell asleep.
You need to watch it. Yes, you do.
I never even see the movie that my name came from, Jewel of the Nile.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because my mom said Johar means jewel in Africa, and she found that out in that movie. So, but I've never seen it. We have a couple more comments. Oh no, poor Sean.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Yeah, poor Sean. That's all I can say.
Phantom of
Yes,
I've
yes,
heard enough. I've heard of it because it's pretty popular even now, but
yes.
I've never
Yeah.
seen it or anything.
So I make a crack in there. So there's like one thing where Celeste and Sean are talking about the new musical coming up, and like it hadn't even opened yet at the time that they're talking about it. And Celeste is like, "Gosh, I really want to see that," but and Sean says, "Maybe when we're grown up with our own money, we can go watch it someday." And she says, "Knowing my luck, it'll probably not be playing by then." And obviously, you see what I did there.
Yeah, I love
You know,
little innuendos like that.
it's like they had no way of knowing that it was going to still be playing like over 30 years later.
Yeah, because when something first comes out, you have no idea it's going to become that popular that it's still
Right.
going to be known and people are still going to be fans, you know?
Yeah. It was at first I worried a little bit. In fact, I thought my editor was going to make me cut it because you know, I thought, oh dear, some people might be like, what is this doing here? But I will say this, besides the fact that I'm setting up a very romantic ambience for them, there's other stuff happening there too. Very important stuff happening besides that. So yes, it had to stay. So
Nice.
yeah.
Question 16. If you're writing a series, do you like ending on cliffhangers? Do you plan to end on a cliffhanger in your current WIP?
I don't think my second one, like I said, at the end there's a moment where everybody will go, wait, what? But I don't think it's a cliffhanger exactly. I don't think it is. But some books will end on a cliffhanger. At some will, some won't. So
Nice. Because with your first book, there wasn't really a cliffhanger. The epilogue was more, I consider, an open ending to let you know that there are probably going to be more books. But I didn't really consider that a cliffhanger. I just considered it an open ending. So your second book might be something like that, where it's kind of an open ending.
yeah, at the time, I would confess, the time I wrote the epilogue, I still wasn't quite sure that the book wouldn't be a standalone at the time. So yeah, I did kind of leave it open, and then I realized, no, there's much more to tell.
Yeah.
There's many more stories to tell. So, yeah.
Well, I'm excited to get to the other books and see the progression of the friend group, because friend groups are some of my favorites. I feel like that's something we don't get enough in books. So I love a good friend group.
I think you'll love them.
Question 17. What's the scene you want to write in your WIP that you're excited for that you haven't gone to yet? You finished the book too, haven't you?
I finished it. Yeah, there's everything's done. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So do you have a scene that is in a future book that you're excited for? Because you said you planned some things out. Without being too spoilery, because that's a very hard thing to do, to try to.
It's really hard, yeah.
Like things and not spoil things.
Perhaps. Well, I'll just say that I'm book 3. I haven't decided exactly who all the 4 front runners are, as far as like the narratives. I just know that Gary and Reggie are 2 of the main narrators in the story. Reggie is now a narrator. We get inside her head. And in fact, her story arc is one of the main plots.
Oh.
So I'm interested in, she has some major character development in this book, nice, as well as Gary. And I'll just say that I'm looking forward to writing their scenes.
Can't wait. I
Yeah.
can't wait to get more into Gary and to meet Reggie.
Yep.
Question 18. Yeah. What's your favorite thing to write about? A certain type of scene, like fight scenes or romantic scenes and so on.
Probably humorous scenes, and then behind that, romantic. Yeah.
Nice.
Hmm.
Question 19. What do you love most about your WIP and the series overall?
I think it's fun. There's still a sense of whimsy and fun and laughter in this book, and I love the friendships, how they have gotten deeper, how they've gotten closer, and I like the unfolding love stories.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. Question. This is the last question. Question 20. What are you most excited for readers to read once it's published?
Wait, like what book or what part of the WIP?
What part of the WIP?
Pretty much everything I mentioned so far. I think pretty much everything I mentioned and what I didn't mention to avoid too many spoilers. There's a lot I didn't say that I think people are going to love.
Personally, I am excited for the ghost hunting part of it because I do love ghosts, and it seems Tex is going to be a big part of this book, and I do really love his character, and I felt like we could have seen more of him in book 1 because I really liked his character and his loyalty, and so I'm very excited to get more to his character.
You'll definitely get more of him, yes.
With the ghost hunting, it sounds like you might get really into his character, and I'm very excited for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very excited for book 2. It sounds like it's going to be a blast.
And if everything goes well, right now I am in the process of finishing up the last polishings with my editor, and now we just got to wait for my illustrator to get on board and do her part now, which I cannot wait till we discuss the cover, because I do have some ideas of what I'd like, and can't wait to see her do that. And of course, discuss what interior illustrations we're going to have. I already kind of know a little of what I want, but I told her this time I wanted, if she had any suggestions, to let me know, because she's reading it. She's reading it now as we speak. So she could kind of get an idea of everything and the new characters. So, yep.
Nice. Yeah. That sounds nice.
And so I hope to have it out in 2024. That's what I was going with that. I hope to have it out sometime in 2024. I don't know when, but I think it's safe to say that that's when it'll come out.
That feels like forever away.
I know it does. And I wish so much it could be a little sooner, but yeah.
But it's hard when you have illustrations like that, because that takes time.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I definitely can't wait for it to come out. So let me know when you do have an official release date.
Oh, I will. And as before, I'll post a cover reveal when it's done. Yay. So I really hope that'll be actually I'm hoping that'll be by the end of this year.
Nice.
So, but.
Nice. So just want to remind everyone else before we end this that anyone who's new, who just dropped by, the link for Squeak is in the description, so definitely check that out if you liked what we were talking about today. Squeak was a great book. I rated it 5 stars, and it's definitely I really enjoyed it, even though it's not my usual type of book. So even if you're more into fantasy or sci-fi or something, I still think you can enjoy this, because me personally, I am a sole fantasy reader, and even though we haven't gone that much into the fantasy aspect yet, I still very much enjoyed this book. So I definitely think this is good for all readers, no matter what your preferred genre is. So definitely check it out if you haven't. I do highly recommend.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The illustrations are an awesome thing to include.
Yes. Every time I go through and read my first book, I just still have to look at them. You know, every time I go through, I just love looking at them.
So. Yes. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. This was great. I'm so happy you could come and talk about Squeak and the upcoming book because now I have a little insight into it that I didn't have before. So I'm now even more excited for when it comes out.
And if I wasn't clear, the title is Cowboys and Queens. And
I think I've seen that on Twitter when you post your little snippets.
Yep. Book 2 of the Asher Chronicles.
Nice. I'm guessing the cowboy thing has to do with Tex.
One aspect, yeah. I'll just say there's more than one cowboy.
Ooh, interesting.
And as for the queens, you'll find out who the queens are.
Can't wait.
And really, you already know who one of them is, if you think about it. When you hear Sean's point of view and you get into the book, you'll understand immediately who one of the queens are. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait.
Yeah. You'll find out who the others are.
Well, I can't wait for it. And thank you again for joining me. This was great. Always nice chatting with you.
It was great chatting with you.
Thank you. So, thank you everyone for dropping by, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. If you want to be notified for all these author interviews I do every Saturday. They are usually at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So this way you can be notified, and if you subscribe to my channel. Hi. That's my best friend.
Hi. Oh, hi.
So definitely check out Squeak if you haven't already. Like I said, the link is in the description, and I will talk to you guys in my next video.